Of you know me. I'm Ceci Murphy, married to the baby of the family, Danny. I would like to address Dad Murphy's lasting effect and legacy on marriage and family. Dad was a huge fan of both. I first met Dad Murphy 20 years ago when I had just started dating his youngest son, Danny. Danny had just undergone knee surgery and was at his apartment, and I was at his apartment doing my best to show what a great nursemaid I could be. You know, trying to impress the cute boy. Dad and Mom came over while I was there with a box of See's candy, of course, to see how their baby was doing. When Danny introduced me to his parents, they were very cordial, but Dad had that "attaboy, Danny" look on his face and greeted me with his trademark charm. I was instantly hooked. The next time I saw Mom and Dad was at Pat Jr.'s 4th of July party a few months later. They had gotten used to the idea of me being around, so Dad tried to test the waters and see if there was a potential match there. He came up to me with that same wide, mischievous grin and said, "So, Ceci, when is this guy going to ask you to marry him?" Sorry, that was my bad dad imitation. To which I replied, "Well, you'll have to ask him." And we chuckled. I probably should have pointed to the sky and said, "You'll have to ask him." For the next few months, Dad would greet me in the same manner until one day in December, Danny's sister Karen, or I think it was Terry, one of you guys. I was just getting to know you better back then, so I wasn't quite sure. And Dad decided to pull a prank on me. They had a small blue velvet ring box with a note inside saying, "Will you?" I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry, because by then I'd fallen so head over heels, not just with Danny, but also with his whole family and extended family and friends. Dramatic pause. Especially with Dad. I had kind of a crush on Dad. He always made me feel special, beautiful, and like I was the most knowledgeable person ever to discuss Trojan football in the history of Trojan football. So a few days after the prank, the day after Christmas, guess what? I was able to respond to Dad's usual query about matrimony and when is Danny going to ask you to marry him with, "He did," on Christmas Day. It was one of the happiest days of my life, soon to be followed by many more happy days as a member of the Murphy clan. Going to Palm Springs every May with the entire ever-expanding family, going to USC Trojan football games, and taking a swig out of Dad's flask of Grand Marnier every time the Trojans scored, for medical purposes, of course. Playing Jenga, Connect 4, and My Uncle Doesn't Like Tea. Took me a while to figure that one out, blonde and all. Singing silly drinking songs. Here's Dad, he's true blue. Introducing me to the best sushi and sashimi in the world at David's beautiful restaurants, and sharing my son's accomplishments with their biggest fans, Mom and Dad. So many memories, seemingly so little time, but a life that filled so many others' lives with joy. Incidentally, we were barely newlyweds when Dad started in with his next ever-pressing question, "When are you gonna have kids?" Well, Dad, I was blessed with only 2, but I will try to make sure they embody everything that you and the Murphy family stand for: faith, family, fun, fellowship, and friendships that last a lifetime. I love you, Dad. I'm gonna miss you. Fight on forever.